Hey guys, what is up? And it is Blaney P from Ryan giving you deck profiles for London Players Girl. Today we are going to be going over the Shinegreymon yellow deck list, which I would argue is one of the top three decks, if not the best deck of the current format. So let's get started with the babies. Up first we have Niramon, which is opponent's turn if this Digimon is rested. All of your security Digimon get plus 1000 DP. I do like this card, but not enough to have it as the 4 or a 3-2 split. And up next is Patamon, which is inheritable when attacking if your security is 5 or more, draw +1. You're not going to see much use out of this, I don't think, but early on you definitely will, especially if you combine it with a Salamon, which is when destroyed, if your security is 3 or less, recover +1. This can be really good early game, building up, making your opponent work through your security, but you're not going to use it too much. Up next is Agumon as a ×3 of, which is inheritable when attacking if you have 3 or more yellow tamers, draw 1. Mid to late game, he is really good as an inheritable. Next is Patamon, which is inheritable your turn once per turn when your opponent's Digimon is destroyed because its DP was reduced to 0. Get +1 again, this card, like Agumon, mid to late game, is a really good card to have in your inheritable chain, either of them and you go in places. Up next is Patamon again, which you want to try and play early game, which is when played, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, add all yellow tamer cards from amongst these cards to your hand, place the rest at the bottom of your deck. Now in this deck you run 9 tamer cards, so the odds of you missing that are quite low, so it is really worth playing early game, especially if you've not got any tamers in your hand yet, because by the time you get to an ultimate, you're going to be wanting to have tamers in your hand. Unimon, champion, ×3, he's a blocker, so pretty much does what he says on the can, keeps security safe. He's a champion option line if you're missing Greymon or Angemon and you just want to get up that chain. Ideally you don't want to be going up a chain with him though, because he's blank on his inheritable, so you're not going to see the benefit from that. Next is the main champion of the deck, which is Greymon. When attacking, if you have 3 or more yellow tamers, one of your opponent's Digimon get -2000 DP until the end of your turn. So Greymon on top of a Patamon, when you've got an ultimate over Greymon, is a really good combo because you get rid of a rookie, and then Patamon triggers and gives you another memory. Up next is a ×2 champion, which sort of a placeholder. It does have a decent inheritable of when attacking if your security is 4 or more, get +1 memory. But by the time you're at an ultimate, it's probably unlikely that you're around 4 memory, because in this deck you want to live on, security. In this deck you want to live on 3 security because of your tamers abilities, so I don't think he's that great, but there's not that many other champions about, so there's no reason not to have him as a 2-of, because obviously you want to keep your ratios in decks, you know, I feel like 9 champions is a good number, 9, 10, around that area. Up next is the ultimates, which first up is Angemon. When digivolved, if your security is 3 or less, recovery +1. Really great if they've got you too low down to go into an Angemon and then go into a Seraphimon and you can recover 2 security in a turn. Amazing combo. Yeah. Other than that, she's just a 7k beat stick, so, you know, same as every other ult basically. Magna Angemon next, again as a 2-of, with the inheritable when attacking one of your opponent's Digimon, get a -1000 DP for this turn. So again, if you've got Magna Angemon and Greymon and Patamon in an inheritable line, you know, you're making sure that you can gain an extra memory a turn when you swing, because you'll be reducing by 3k, so that's definitely any rookie on the field gone. Up next is Ryze Greymon, which is when digivolved you may play 1 yellow tamer from your hand without paying its cost. Tamers played by this effect do not activate their when played effect. So Ryze Greymon, really amazing value, evolve for free energy, and you can play out a TK, a Carrier, or a TK in your hand, which again you've probably made sure you've got in your hand by dropping a Patamon early on. So you should get the benefit of that, and that's how you manage to start swarming the field with your tamers and getting all these abilities, which I'll go over later. But I would say that Ryze Greymon's most important ult in the deck, and probably one of the most important cards in the deck. You really want to be making use of their values. Up next, Raphael, which I went over, that he gives you recovery +1, and on your turn, if your security is 3 or more, security attack +1. He's just good for tight spots when you're low on security and you might not have an option of a Shinegreymon or a Ryze Greymon, or you feel like your opponent's going to kill you next turn. So you really want to go up the Angelwoman Seraphimon lineup if that's how you're feeling. Up next, the main card of the deck, Shinegreymon. When Digivolve, rest all of your yellow tamers. For every yellow tamer put to rest from this effect, activate the following effect, -4000 DP on one of your opponent's Digimon this turn. So that's really amazing, because in this game, in this deck, you usually have 3 to 4 tamers, so you're doing 12 to 16 reduction. So you're getting rid of anything on the field that's a threat. And then his secondary is it gains 1000 DP for every tamer you have. So like I said, you got 3 to 4 tamers out, that's another 4k, so you're swinging at 15k. So you can get rid of 2 threats in a turn by getting a Shinegreymon out, which should pretty much clear your opponent's field, I'd imagine. And if you've gone up the chain right, then you can reduce something else by 2k, so even if the 12's not enough, when you swing into the other card that you're dealing with, you can reduce that again and get rid of it, and you'll gain a memory back off the Patamon as well from the reduction, if you've got Patamon as your bottom line, or even if you've got Agumon, then you're drawing a card. So, you know, this deck does have really good draw value and free play value. Up next is Magnadramon, which is just a 12k beat stick. There's probably something better that can go there when set 3 or even 4 comes out. But for now, he's just a 12k beat stick, because one of the things about this deck is a lot of the cards do have low DP power, and sometimes you just need to deal with a threat. So if you've not got a Shinegreymon in hand, you know, Magnadramon's the next best thing. Into the tamers, we've got 4 of TK Takashi, which is all of your security Digimon get 2000 DP. So you get 2 of them on the field, and suddenly your rookies are 6 to 7Ks, your champions are 10Ks, your 10Ks and 8Ks, your ultimates are 11Ks, your megas are 14 to 16Ks when they're in the security. So it means your opponent's really got to think about when he's attacking and what he's attacking with. Can he afford to attack with his champion? Because statistically, most of the things that will be in your deck at that point or in your security will be higher than what his champion is, because it could easily get killed by a rookie at that point. So really beneficial there, because it takes their momentum off them when they keep losing stuff. Up next, one of the star tamers of the deck, Kari. If your security is 3 or less, get +1 memory. That's why I've kept saying that you want to be at 3 memory in this deck. 3 security, sorry. Because if you've got 2 Karis out and the 4 cost TK, it means you'll be getting 5 energy a turn to play with. Because they're both at the start of your turn, so you can choose the order in which they proc. So going at 5 energy a turn really allows you to run away from your opponent. There's a lot you can do with 5 energy. You can go for you could pretty much, because most of the time your opponent will have their version of TK out, which puts them to 3 at their turn. It means in your turn you can go from a rookie all the way into a champion for 2, into a mega into an ultimate for 3, so that puts you on 0, and then you can still go up into a mega and then pass turn. It lets you go up the full chain basically without giving your opponent too much energy. which is insane value. And then this 4-cost TK, other than putting you to free memory each turn, is check all your security cards, reveal one of them amongst them, and add it to your hand. If it's a yellow card, recovery +1. So when you play him, you get that ability. Obviously, if you do it with Ryze Greymon, you don't, but it's worth it for not, because you're getting it out for free basically. But that ability is amazing because in this game at the moment you can't search through your deck for anything. So looking through your security then gives you the knowledge of everything you've got in your deck, which, you know, having knowledge is power, and seeing what's in there lets you assess, you know, what kind of game you might have to play, and being able to pull one of them cards out and put it in your hand. So it could be a Shinegreymon or a Ryze Greymon, you know, a piece that you think you'll need for the next turn, and then replacing it with the top card of your deck's amazing. Up next is the option cards. We have Glorious Burst, which is the cost of this card in your hand is reduced by 1 for every one of your yellow tamers. Main one of your opponent's Digimon get minus 12,000 DP until the end of your turn. So you got 3 or 4 tamers out, you know, he's costing 6 or 5, and if you've got an inheritable Patamon on the field, you know, he's costing another less, so you're looking at 4 or 5, which if you're getting 5 energy a turn, it's still not going to end your turn, and you can deal with a mega level threat for half the price. And up next is Eden's Javelin, which is main, draw 1. One of your opponent's Digimon get minus 1000 DP for every 1 card in your hand until the end of this turn. So basically, you know, you can build quite a good hand in this deck as well, because if you've been getting the Agumon inheritables out, every time you swing, you're drawing a card. Every time you evolve, you're drawing a card. If you've played a Patamon early on and you've hit multiple tamers, you've drawn cards from that. So yeah, and it triggers in your security, which again is great. It costs 6, so I'd argue it's not as good as Glorious Burst when you've stacked your tamers out, but it still lets you draw a card, and if you reduce it, you can, if you get rid of something, you do get a memory back because of the Patamon again. I think that's about it for the deck, but yeah, quick overview. The main focus really is you want Agumon or Patamon, going into a Geo Greymon, going into a Ryze Greymon, and then going into a Shine Greymon, and then being able to get that security attack +1 off with the Ryze Greymon, because you'll have 3 or more yellow tamers out. Once you've flooded the field with her, your security is going to be killing your opponent's Digimon because you've raised the security, the DP power of them up by so much, it's going to be difficult for them to get over. And then you're popping them off with the Shine Greymon and the Glorious Bursts. That's about it for the deck profile. If you've got any questions, stick them in the comments below. If you've got any requests for profiles, stick them in the comments section below. I've been Blaney P with London Players Guild. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.